Hi, Taylor T. Carlson here, and Columbia Pictures is at it again. We've gotten two great Columbia Classics 4K Blu-ray box sets, and now we arrive at Columbia Classics Volume 3. These have been great collections with an eclectic mix of movies, and I'm always looking forward to see what comes out next in these sets. It's a very diverse mix of movies that often have nothing in common aside from being Columbia Pictures releases. So, I'm going to unbox this box. I'm going to talk a little about the movies and let you know if I recommend this set or not. I'm not going to get too in-depth with the individual movies because they've been reviewed to death on countless sites and, of course, here on YouTube. So let's go ahead and get started. Nice close-up of the box. Got our Columbia Pictures Torch Lady logo. They use a blue motif for this one. Volume 2 was red, and then Volume 1 was more of a yellow gold. Pictures from the 6 films included here. The films included this time around are It Happened One Night, From Here to Eternity, To Sir with Love, The Last Picture Show, Annie, and As Good as It Gets. Here's the back of the backing card. Just a description of the films, ratings, credits, and so forth. Here's the top of that. Got a nice logo up there. Here's the back without the backing card on. You got various versions of the Columbia Pictures logo. Side of the box, other side of the box, bottom of the box, nothing really noteworthy there. Top of the box, you can see the book inside there. Like the previous volumes, this has a bonus disc as well as a hardbound book. And like the previous sets, this one folds open to reveal the discs here, and in the center we've got our Columbia logo. So now we're going to start taking the discs out and see what we've got in here. And I'll just break this down movie by movie. Okay, we now have our discs out of the box. And right here we have our hardbound book. Before we get on with the movies, I'm just going to show off the book. I'll let you see a few pages from this. Ton of quotes from various Columbia Pictures releases there. Back cover continues that same motif. Our bonus disc is in here. Each of these sets has a bonus Blu-ray disc. Here's our bonus disc. This includes the 3-part From Here to Eternity 1979 TV miniseries. I'll talk more about that in a little bit. The previous volume had included a bonus disc that had a bunch of Columbia short films from throughout the studio's history. But let's see what we get inside this book. Here's our title page there, a picture of the Columbia Studios. That looks very cool. Photographs from the movies, essays, production photographs, stills from the films. There's a lot to go through in here. This isn't just some cheap little booklet. It's a hardbound book that a lot of work went into, and I appreciate that Columbia always goes the extra mile with these sets. There's some nice behind-the-scenes photos. And you kind of get the idea of what's offered there. Now, let's look at what you came here for, the films. The oldest film in the set is It Happened One Night from 1934, starring Claudette Colbert and Clark Gable. Critic quote on the back there. Spine text on the other side. We popped that up and we got something more akin to the classic movie poster art from the 30s era. Got our description of the film, list of special features and so forth. One of the major special features in this set is in here, and it's the film You Can't Run Away From It, which is actually a musical remake of this movie that came out in the 1950s. So you actually get a whole bonus movie in here. And here's our 4K and our Blu-ray disc. When her father threatens to annul her marriage to a fortune-hunting playboy, spoiled heiress Ellie Andrews hops a cross-country bus to New York, where she plans to live happily ever after with her handsome new hubby. Romantic complications soon arise, however, when she's befriended by fellow passenger Peter Warren, a brash and breezy reporter, who offers his help in exchange for her exclusive story. Winner of 5 1934 Academy Awards: Picture, Actress, Actor, Screenplay, and Director. Frank Capra's It Happened One Night is the film that launched the screwball genre, a legendary romantic comedy that still as enchanting as ever. This is an absolutely hilarious film, and it actually has some pretty good dramatic content in it as well. Colbert and Gable just have great chemistry throughout this film. It's a laugh riot, and honestly, I think a lot of these themes still reign true today, even though it's been about 90 years since this came out. I mean, we still have plenty of spoiled rich heiresses that are trying to get back at daddy, and we have these shrewd reporter types even in the modern world. So even 90 years later, this is a movie that certainly holds up, and it's definitely one of my favorites in Columbia Classics Volume 3. Next film chronologically in the set is From Here to Eternity. Here's the back of our slipcover. Cast of the movie includes Burt Lancaster, Montgomery Clift, Deborah Kerr, Donna Reed, Frank Sinatra, Jack Warden, and Ernest Borgnine. And again, we pop off the slipcover. We get the more classic style artwork here. Here's our back cover with a list of features. In addition to the film, this set also includes a 1980 feature-length television pilot that was based on the film. And this landmark film, passion and tragedy collide on a military base as fateful day in December of 1941 draws near. Private Pruitt is a soldier and former boxer being manipulated by his superiors and peers. His friend Maggio tries to help him, but has his own troubles. Sergeant Warden and Karen Holmes tread on dangerous ground as lovers in an illicit affair. Each of their lives will be changed when their stories culminate in the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor. This is a great film set during World War II, and of course the actions of the film culminate with the Pearl Harbor attack. It is interesting to see a lowly military recruit who transfers to this base and is constantly hazed and bullied to try to get back into boxing, even though he's pretty much refused to do that due to a past tragedy. The all-star cast really shines through over the course of this one. Oddly enough, Columbia tried to adapt this one for television many times, as you saw with the presence of a 1980 television pilot. And then there's an earlier 1979 three-part miniseries that's on the bonus disc in the set that I previously showed you. However, all of those pale in comparison to the original 1950s film that we've got right here. That said, those alternate versions of the story that they tried to adapt for TV, I would recommend watching them at least once. Third film in the set, starring the always entertaining Sidney Poitier, this is To Sir with Love. There's our back cover with a critic quote, spine text on the other side. We pop that off, we've got our classic style artwork, list of bonus features, and our 4K as well as our Blu-ray. A novice teacher faces a crowd of rowdy, undisciplined working-class punks in this classic film that reflected some of the problems and fears of teens of the 1960s. Sidney Poitier gives one of his finest performances as Mark Thackeray, an out-of-work engineer who turns to teaching in London's tough East End. The graduating class, led by Denham, Pamela, and Barbara, Lulu, who also sings the title hit song, sets out to destroy Thackeray as they did his predecessor thanks to breaking his spirit. But Thackeray, no stranger to hostility, meets the challenge by treating the students as young adults who will soon enter the workforce where they must stand or fall on their own. Film's about a teacher dealing with juvenile delinquents, trying to whip them into shape for the real world. This is not a new movie plot by any means. Even back in the 60s when this movie first came out, that was not a new story. But it's Sidney Poitier's performance that really sells this one. He, of course, being one of the really first successful black actors, and this guy is fantastic in every movie he's in. Even if whatever movie he's in falls flat, his performance is always a highlight. There are some great performances from the young actors in this film as well, including Lulu, who, like I said earlier, sang the title song, which is also entitled To Sir with Love. She also sang the title song to the James Bond movie, The Man with the Golden Gun, a few years later. And this one is definitely an interesting, dramatic story to revisit. As bonuses on here, on the 4K disc, you get the 1974 television pilot on the 4K disc. That honestly has a little more in common with sitcoms than it does drama, but Still fun to watch at least once. The Blu-ray disc includes the lesser-known made-for-TV sequel to Sir with Love 2, which was directed by Peter Bogdanovich. So, plenty of stuff to go around here, and I'm not going to get too into every single bonus feature on these individual discs, but the 4K also includes a Sidney Poitier tribute, because unfortunately we just lost him earlier this year. One of the all-time great actors, and he's definitely missed. Movie number 4 in the set is The Last Picture Show, also directed by Peter Bogdanovich, and based on a book written by Larry McMurtry. McMurtry would later author the Western novel Lonesome Dove, which was the basis for the TV miniseries of the same name. There's our cover art. Back cover with a critic quote. Cast here includes Timothy Bottoms, Jeff Bridges, Ellen Burstyn, Ben Johnson, Cloris Leachman, Randy Quaid, and Sybil Shepherd. We pop off the slipcover, and again, classic artwork. Got our Blu-ray and 4K bonus features listed there, description of the film. Released in 1971 to critical acclaim and public controversy, The Last Picture Show garnered 8 Academy Award nominations, including Best Picture, and was hailed as the most important work by a young American director since Citizen Kane. A surprisingly frank, bittersweet drama of social and sexual mores in small-town Texas, the film features a talent-laden cast led by Jeff Bridges, Sybil Shepherd, and Timothy Bottoms. Cloris Leachman and Ben Johnson each won Oscars for their work in supporting roles. This includes the theatrical cut as well as the extended cut that was Peter Bogdanovich's preferred cut. So we have our Blu-ray disc version, which is under the 4K disc here. Not really a fan of stacking discs, but it doesn't seem to be doing too much trouble here. Blu-ray copy right there. Here we have our 4K of the theatrical, and here we have our 4K of the director's cut. This is a great coming-of-age drama that looks at mundane life in a small town and a lot of the struggles people deal with. Seeing how seriously they take high school sports is just insane, and honestly, that's something that's still going on in the modern world. Seeing things like, sexual experiences, affairs, moving on with one's life. It's all done very well here, and Peter Bogdanovich certainly directed a classic for the ages, and this is one that I think everybody needs to watch at least once, even if it is one that's certainly got its moments that aren't going to sit well with viewers. But if it makes you uncomfortable in some places, the film is certainly doing its job. Film number 5 in the set is Annie. Annie, of course, is a musical based on the story Little Orphan Annie. The musical, in turn, was adapted for film many times, this being the first film adaptation, which was directed by John Huston. There's a close-up of our title character. Back cover critic quote. Spine text on the other side. Pop of our slipcover, and we've got our classic artwork here. Spine text. Summary of everything else we get in here. Annie is the story of everyone's favorite plucky, red-haired orphan. One day, Annie is chosen to stay for a week with famous billionaire Daddy Warbucks. One week turns into many, and the only person standing in the way of Annie's fun is Miss Hannigan, the tyrannical ruler of the orphanage, played to hilarious perfection by Carol Burnett. Will Miss Hannigan's zany attempts to kidnap the irresistible Annie succeed? Sing along to the unforgettable songs that experience the beloved musical like never before. Cast of this movie, of course, includes Albert Finney, Carol Burnett, Bernadette Peters, Tim Curry, and plenty of others. I don't think I showed you the inside, so here's what the discs look like. Musicals were certainly old hat by the time that the 1980s rolled around for film, but this one came out anyway, and it's certainly irresistible in places with plenty of catchy songs, including the likes of Tomorrow and Hard Knock Life, both of which have entered the American vernacular for being so popular in their own right. I don't normally watch musicals, but I have to say, Annie is certainly infectious, and I'm glad I finally got a chance to experience the original cinematic version. Our sixth and final film in the set is As Good as It Gets, which stars Jack Nicholson, Greg Kinnear, and Helen Hunt. There's our critic quote, spine text, other side spine text, artwork underneath the slipcover, spine text, and our other information regarding the release. Here's our two discs. Jack Nicholson, Helen Hunt, Greg Kinnear, and Cuba Gooding Jr. star in James L. Brooks' hit comedy As Good as It Gets. Nicholson gives a show-stopping performance as Melvin Udall, an obsessive-compulsive novelist with Manhattan's meanest mouth. But when his neighbor Simon is hospitalized, Melvin is forced to babysit Simon's dog. And that unexpected act of kindness, along with waitress Carol Connolly, helps put Marvin back in the human race. This is another film that I actually hadn't seen prior to getting this set, but it's actually pretty entertaining. Jack Nicholson is that rare actor who can play literally any role, from a completely detestable villain to a more heartwarming performance, and he nails it every time. The rest of the performances here are equally solid, including the likes of Greg Kinnear as the gay hospitalized neighbor, Helen Hunt as the waitress who has her son hospitalized, and Cuba Gooding Jr. as a fellow neighbor of Nicholson's character. It's really interesting to see just how unlikable Nicholson's character is here at the beginning of the movie, and how he grows as the movie evolves. I mean, it's a comedy, it's a drama, it's a character study, it's a little bit of everything, and this movie just pulls it off so well. Also included in the set are digital copies of the films. Picture quality on all of these movies looks absolutely fantastic. Understandably, they vary from film to film and due to the source material and the like, but I'm happy to say that I thought everything in here looked very good. Some of the bonus movies are presented in high definition or standard definition, not ultra high def, but for the most part, everything looks good for what it is. There are a ton of bonus features on each of these movies. I think most of these are previously released, but you're going to have a wealth of stuff to go through, and I'm really happy to see that Columbia is really cranking out these sets. I wonder how long it's going to be until we get Volume 4, because I'm looking forward to it. Have you invested in any of these Columbia Classic sets yet? What movies do you want to see in Volume 4? What's your favorite movie in Volume 3? Comment down below and let me know what you think. Also, remember to subscribe to this channel for more content, because I'm always posting new videos. And make sure you give this one a like if you found it helpful. I'm Taylor T. Carlson. I'll see you next time.